Growing up as a young black woman has shown me a lot about how to maneuver life in America. I've seen how to be resilient against negative forces, and I've seen how to carry myself with power, but with just as much gentle force in the words I carry. I've seen the automatic conviction that comes with being African American just as much as the radical beauty. No longer am I scared to occupy the space I'm in, and no longer am I shy about how big my hair is. If anything, I'm proud of my Nigerian genetics because they make me who I am. And it's more than enough that my Nigerian genetics are part of who I am. But I haven't always felt this way. I haven't always felt as empowered as I do about my cultural identity. The journey to accepting myself has been long and emotional, but well worth it. There were many days I would come home from school and I would cry to my mom because I got made fun of again, whether I was called a chocolate milk or milk dud, or some other sweets, or compared to some exotic animal. And there were many mornings I would wake up frustrated that nobody answered my prayer to wake up with fair skin and straight hair. All I wanted was to look like everybody I saw in my classes and the people I saw in the grocery stores. I didn't understand why I was looking different and why it was causing me to be treated different. If being myself was enough, how do I explain to my 7-year-old self that those kids didn't want to play with her because their parents said she was too brown? And if being yourself is enough reason to be loved, at 15, why did someone roll down their window at me and yell that they hated black people? At the time, the rest of the walk home, I didn't understand why he was telling me that, but I knew that I felt the same way about myself, and probably for the same reason too. Entering high school was an awkward and uncomfortable dance between the lines of feeling too white for the black kids and too black for the white kids. It didn't matter what I said or what I did or what I wore. I felt like I wasn't enough. Whether I was saying terms from my AP literature class, I felt like I was too white and I was called an Oreo. And if I used slang from my community, I was always called too ghetto. And as a multicultural adolescent, this only intensified my feeling of not being enough and not knowing where I fit in. Shout out to Larisse Snyder because she had a huge influence on my experience in high school, just like all the other multicultural students. She was that slice of representation that we needed, and she gave us the space to make us feel like we mattered. If it wasn't for her, the experience at TEDxFondduLac High School would have been a lot different. Her slice of representation, I'm sure I would have seen people somewhere down the line in college or in the business world, but her representation at that campus was at the perfect time in my life. It was at the most fragile and impressionable years of my adolescence. When you're an adolescent, we all know what it's like. We don't know who we are, we don't know where we belong, and we just want to fit in and feel like we matter. So to have someone to look up to, it meant the world. And as our world is expanding and blending, we're starting to all look more different than each other. And as our kids grow up, they need someone that they can look up to. They need someone that they can be inspired by and someone that can prove to them that they can get through their struggles. I remember being in my social studies classes and feeling like I was yet invisible again. Whenever we talked about history, we only focused on one group instead of all the cultures that help make America what it is today. We only focused on the trials and the triumphs of the European Americans in history. And if America is a melting pot country, shouldn't we talk about all the heritages and all the nationalities that have helped build us into what we are today? I didn't understand why, yet again, I was made to feel invisible. And I didn't understand why I wasn't talking about my Nigerian side as much as we were talking about my German and Irish side. The summer of 2017 came and went, and during that time, it changed my life. Me and my sister had the opportunity to visit Nigeria, and during that, we went with our father and met our family for the first time. And we got to see our hometown in a whole new world. Out there, we got to meet everybody and see everybody that looked just like us. And it brought inner peace to me to realize that I was not that different from them. I remember Benin City. The colors are bright and magnificent. There are bright red tomatoes under orange blankets at the marketplace. And there was tall, luscious green grass as you're driving through the mountains. Big yellow houses with golden painted gates, and some of the villages still had clay and mud homes built. Men in their vibrant indigo suits and women in their violet dresses and headscarves walked the streets with their babies strapped on their backs. And in these streets, people shared their days and times with one another. People bought their groceries, people made crafts for each other, and they bought everything they needed to go home. In these streets, it was as if it was a community. And I really appreciated that. And I realized we have that same community there that we do here. If you think about it, look at our farmers markets here. We all come together and we barter our foods and our gifts and our goodies, and then we go back home to our lives with our families. Over there, they have their bank tellers and their schools and their teachers, and they have their giant university and their hospital, just like we do here. And over there, they have a sense of responsibility that you look out for your family just as much as you do here. You are just as much as your family as they are a part of you. And everybody has this sense of duty, this sense of responsibility to carry their weight. I remember I was driving through Benin City with my sister and our uncles and nephew in the car, and this familiar Rick Ross track came on. I don't know if you guys know Rick Ross. He's a rap player. Check him out sometime. And they were all dancing and bopping to this track, and my sister and I were just shrieking with laughter, and we were laughing hysterically by this humbling sight, that even though an ocean separates us, we all can share the enjoyment that comes from good music, which is just one slice of what we all have in common. It's just like how in Benin City, I would wake up with the sun, and our rooster Peter would be crowing away, and then I would respectfully greet my elders. In Fond du Lac, I wake up with my alarms, and the same sun peeks through my windows, and I say good morning to my mom as we pass through the hallway. We are not that different from each other. Our cultures may make the process different, but the intentions are the same, and the intention is to create a fulfilling and happy life that we can share with the people we love the most. When we can put aside our differences and listen to one another's stories, we can realize we have a lot in common. Besides our differences, beneath the oppression and under the divisions, we are not that different. Thank you.